Good morning, and well, good afternoon, and welcome to LIGHTBOB TV, episode two on Thursday. And today we're going to talk about lighting as an emotional architecture. And you heard me saying that, and I've been saying it, and I will say it again. Repetition is the mother of skill, and by talking about it, it'll start to be like your second nature. For me, there's no other way to talk about lighting than emotion, and from there, once I can describe the right emotion, or I can pick up from my client, because it's not about the visibility, it's not about the product, it's about what do they feel inside and what kind of dialogue they want to do with me. So and also my vision, helping them with my vision to reveal the architecture. So basically, I help them to define how the architecture is perceived and how they're going to live into to it and what's their vision about it. And today, this is what we're going to talk about, is the fact that 90% of the time, most lighting is add too late in the project. It's an afterthought. And of course, there's no budget. So just imagine, afterthought, no budget. Some people will treat it as decoration. Well, lighting is, the frou-frou. Um, and there's no too early moment to talk about lighting. um, the sooner the better. And sometimes it could even be. Um, I remember talking with some of my architectural friends. It would be a trigger. We would talk about lighting, and then he would say, "Oh yeah, maybe we can do this and we can do that," and that could be the the part that, or something they were missing, or something they wanted to do for a long time, and the lighting was the trigger, because that's what I brought to the conversation. So architectural, when and when we talk about architecture, um, this is very annoying because my camera is there and my monitor is there. Let me just switch this so I don't see myself. Okay, good. I just put that there because since the past couple days, what happened is that I had problem with the sound. Yesterday, I record the whole. I switched whatever card sound I had on my computer. I recorded the whole episode. Then I went and listened to it, and I realized that there was something that I didn't do, and it was like a hum all the way. So later, I re-recorded it, but I didn't have my uniform. I didn't have nothing, so I just recorded it, and I'll put it up probably this weekend, um, for you to listen, because it was an amazing session on manufacturers and my passion for manufacturers, and it will come again next week, and we'll touch at some of the point and bring some new points. So it is what it is. I mean, live TV for me is something new. The whole idea is that I want to discipline myself. I want to go live. I want to do more, and I want to be sure that. Um, Hold on a second. I just want to make sure that everything is there. I just want to make sure that I got it all down before I start. I start to add cool graphics and little effects and introduction and this and that. I just want to have my basic down, have my script, the way I prompt text, bullet points, and how the flow goes. And also my vocabulary, how I present myself, how I can make this easier for you. And by the way, I really appreciate the pain you're going to for those all those episodes, because it's the first time I do this, and I don't have a coach, I don't have anybody. I just decided to do it, looking at myself, trying to improve, bring some new equipment, and from there I'll build up, and eventually I'll bring some guests in the show, and we'll have a full blown conversation. But for now, my ultimate goal is to go and nail it down, make sure that it's regular, that I have that I have a good pace, that I can maintain and I can maintain communication and dialogue with you for 45 minutes, an hour, and if I can manage to do this, I'll be, you know, I'll be in heaven. And after that, you'll only get better. So let's go. Let's get back to design for a second. Well, not for a second, but for the rest of the show. The main structural problem I find with design is that, again, like we were saying, lighting is added too late on the project. Treat it as a decoration, and too early we start to talk about fixtures. Um, on Tuesday, that's what I do. I talk about fixtures. But like I said before, Monday, we talk about, how to describe light, how we have directional, how do we have general diffuse, and how we have, narrow beam, or we have wide beam, or we have the whole area, like having these floating fixtures that are, diffusing lights into the space. And after we talk about fixtures. So bringing fixtures too early in the conversation is not a very healthy practice, because it directs you into a corner or into a position where it's very hard to backpedal and explain and say, oh no, we cannot have these fixtures. You know what I mean? So basically, not having an emotional strategy and not having something that you have in common with your client or the board or the promoter, what it does is that you're just another peddler. You're just selling something. You're just another seller, and this is where you, as a lighting expert, lighting designer, um, uh, you can set yourself apart, because it's such an intimate dialogue when you start to talk about lighting, that nobody else have this kind of conversation. Contractor, they don't really care about the art, they don't really care about your color palette, they don't really care about what kind of car collection you have in your garage, or what kind of game or movie theaters you want, and so forth, and what kind of backyard landscape, you know vision you want to reveal with sculptures, and so they will put the physical asset there, but they don't really care about the the emotional aspect. And then designers, on another hand, are really they're really concerned about all this emotional, those emotional tie that you have with your material, but they don't really care about the architecture. They don't really care about the overall view. They don't really care about the site. They care about whatever, portion of the project they have, and then that's what they drive you with. So we see a common we see a common denominator here. Like we have people that talks about architecture, then they talk about finish, they talk about fixtures, and then, oh yeah, by the way, when everything is done, what about the lighting? And lighting comes way down, and they say, well, like everything is done, we don't really want to make some holes, we don't, and it's gone. So, and all this could be avoided if we just shift where the lighting dialogue happens. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, I would say after 4 decades of being in that beautiful profession, it's very hard again, and I say again till this day, to have a serious conversation about lighting with clients, because first of all, they have probably most of my clients have, they're not new owner. They had previous house, they had previous endeavor with specification professional architect, designers, engineers, and they have whatever good or bad, situation happened. So for them, adding another consultant, adding another is another set of problem they don't understand and they don't want. So there's always a little ridge between uh, and the rest of the design team and the lighting designer. Somehow, I don't know, uh, they feel threatened. They feel like maybe we are not necessary. They know lighting. They can do it themselves. They can answer the question. And after a few questions, it goes back to finishes or architecture, never to lighting. And I will not say never, but most of the time. Some architects, some designers have the knowledge. Some of them go and go a little further and push the envelope as far as design. And I have to recognize that too. I walk into place and I'm like, wow, this is a very well lit place, and it was done by an architect. It was not done by a lighting designer. It was not done by a lighting engineer or whatever. It was done by an architect. Well, good. So architects, they're there to help developer. So basically, the architect, as far as hierarchy, will, it's funny because I'm in a construction zone. So architect help finalize the ceiling before the lighting, right? So the developers, they focus on finishing, like what kind of material, price per square foot, and and their sales team 90% of the time, if it's not decorative, will absolutely ignore the lighting psychology. If it's not a decorative fixtures, if they don't have it in their showroom or they cannot see on the web, they don't care. So, and then you have the other philosophy that, well, let's leave that to the electrician. Well, guess what? I'm an electrician. I graduated in 2000. What is it? 2018. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been an electrician, and I work again all kinds of projects and all over the world. So I can tell you that not many electricians, if none, are lighting designer. Some have affinity. They did install lighting control. They know how to install the lighting, can. But as soon as you come with something that is out of their scope, they're not geared towards that kind of work. And I'm being very honest with you. I help a lot of my contractor friends. I have a lot of electrical contractor friends. They all say, well, Bob, how can we make your job easier? What if we take a technician and we train him how to install lighting? Well, all he's going to do is train, because lighting is evolving so fast, he'll never catch up. So, and then different jobs, because we work on a job and we put our soul and we put our the necessary time and amount of time, and we're getting paid for that. The electrician is getting paid on delivering a product, taking a fixture, installing it, and that's where his money is made. It's not made to, he's not there to think about the design. He's not there to think about anything else except to put it up. So that limits their role into this composition. So what happened when the lighting arrived at the last phase? Well, of course, uh, I'm flabbergasted. Why did I even say that? Because we know, everybody knows what's arriving. I know, even the contractor knows. You walk into a place and it looks like the place next door. It looks like the whole building. It looks like very the same. There's no And you'll tell me, well, this is a blank canvas, and you can you can build on it. Well, that's not true, because if you had to put a little bit of thought, and if you help your client start selecting the right fixtures and the right, and we talked about the different layers, but we'll review that. The right lighting at the right layers, um, you will save them a lot of time, a lot of money, and also you will help to rise the standard of their living and the projects. And other clients and other developers will see that, and they will follow the movement. So again, it's not all to assist in, to a conference and talk about, how lighting is helping your life and how it's making it better. We have, we have all kinds of technical term for that, but between you and me, all it means is that we need to put a little bit more thought on our lighting system. And if we don't, then guess what? We don't have it. And adding a couple lamps, or uh, using a little LED face mask, half an hour a day, will help, but it won't give you the same effect of, human centric lighting design area or environment. So normally we're talking about general lighting, which is uh, the base of brightness. We're gonna have a couple lights that are gonna give us, the base lighting, and it's going to also determine the spatial comfort of everything. Then we will have a layer of directional lighting that will highlight some art, that will highlight some architecture. It will define, it will guide your focus onto something. It will define hierarchy. This is, when you walk into a beautiful lobby, you have your attention on the flowers, or you have your attention on artwork, or you have your attention on a beautiful architecture. And also add some visual drama. So, like sometimes you will have like a different color for your columns, and when I say different color, I don't mean red, green, and blue. It could be cool white versus warm white. It could be, just a tint of blue, a tint of red, a pink. So again, the drama is not necessarily have everything purple with the yellow light, although it's very dramatic. Then we'll then we'll have what we call the task lighting. So reading corners, where you work every day with your computers, where you in the kitchen, where you're cutting, where you reading your cooking book, or you're entertaining and something's happening, or even sometimes on an island where you play games with your family. So it's there. The task lighting will be either there to help you to execute a function, or just to, support an activity that you're doing. And then, of course, the I will not say the last layer, but the another layer, mostly the last one for this example, will be your perimeter lighting, so that you have a cove, that you have an indirect, that you have an insert, that you have, it could be on the bottom of the floor. I mean, what it does is that it expands your perceived space, and also it gives you a certain perspective. And when there's object in front, it also create amazing shadow, and it reveals also silhouette. So there's different um, there's different perception level happening when we work with perimeter lighting. And also, what I found that perimeter lighting does is that it's soften the architecture. Like these corners are not suddenly that you see the line, but it's not as hard or hard or heavy that it does. And we'll see that all these layers together start to create some depth, You have a beautiful way with control to create some different atmosphere in different zone, um, and then you also control the emotion, depending again on colors or intensity or time of the day. You can manage to shift and bring some emotion into the space. And again, all this is to help you to develop your vocabulary, help you um, to start creating your own language about light and how you want to do it, and what's easy for you and what is, because again, for me, it is not that easy to to deliver on a seminar or on a show. But when I'm with a client, and this is where your own flavor, your own color, your own way of presenting things. When I'm with a client, depending on the way they talk and what they're liking it, I will go pick some element and then I will add it to the formula. So that way, that's why it's hard to explain to you in a very rigid frame something that I do naturally, and you probably do it too. But just check, make sure that all the elements are there, and also that your focus is on the emotion more than on the fixture or on having no hierarchy and having flat lighting or right. So what we want to do is we want to help the client to create an experience. First thing, we want to have them to tell us what they like, what is turning them on, what is their attention on, what do they want to feel when they walk in, right? Then we're going to take this and translate this in different layers, and all of this will enhance their architecture. So again, when we talk with the architect, when we talk the designers, when we talk with the contractor, this is the this is the language, the same language we're going to have with all of them. So that way they feel that we are there. Not only they feel, but they understand, because without all these people, lighting is absolutely useless. We're not even needed close to any job if there's no architecture. Lighting does its own path, and the sun is enough for has been enough for centuries. So as soon as we're talking about artificial lighting, now we start to justify why. And the only reason that it's our presence is needed is to reveal these emotions. If we're not capable of doing that, then they don't need us. They can go to Home Depot, they can go to Lowe's, they can go online, they can, I mean, and they can ask their electrician, they can do whatever. Um, we're not needed. We're there to enhance, and make sure that we pick up those little nuggets that they have. Uh, it could be ideas from a trip they had in the Middle East. It could be a view they had in the Grand Canyon. It could be something they saw in Vegas. It could be something that they like about this, eclecticity of New York. It doesn't matter. If we can pick it up and recreate that moment, our job is done. We did our job, and all this within the premise of the project, and coordinate with all the different other consultants. Well, guess what? We are there, and other people, other consultants, going to start to noticing that we really care about them, and they'll invite us on other project. They'll refer us. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I work with Bob. He's an amazing guy." Sometimes, his French accent. I'm just kidding, but that's the whole point. The whole point is that without us, they're gonna have something very ordinary, and without them, we're useless. Our job as a designer is not even needed and wanted. So, as an example, if let's think about some impact we can create into hospitality atmosphere, right? And hospitality is a good example because you have all kinds of different action happening at the same time, and those are not residential client; they're not personal, but you still have to depending on the theme or the concept of the complex, you will have to extract the best element to keep them there and keep them doing the task that they came to do. And when we talk about a lobby, or if we talk about a conference, about if we go to Vegas and we talk about a theater, or if we're talking about a stadium, or if we talk about even the parking lot, unfortunately, I don't see many experience starting in the parking lot. And if there's something that could be done is because you walk into the parking lot, you look around, you never know where's the main entrance. And if you get excited a little bit and you put something there, then people would say, oh, look, it's over there, right? It would be like a visual recognition. Retail, same thing. Retail has a specific purpose, is that we need to sell things. We need to have the 2 second attention between two scrolls, and have the person say, oh, I got to get in, I got to get this thing, I want to see, I want to know, I want to learn more. So again, contrast, color, impact, directional lighting, very strong. Residential, well, residential, we've been talking a lot about residential lighting, and there's a lot about it, and there's all kinds of cool things we do in residential, more and more, because the more and more people are spending more and more time at home, and they want to have some of that hospitality look, they want to have some of that retail, they want to they want to perceive the luxury, they want also kind of their own brand, their own thing they want to do. So residential is evolving more and more, and then we have human centric, these new trends that are coming in that were named different things in the past, and that will be probably named something different in the future. But all it means is that it evolves, and it helps you to stay home longer and be more happy. So when we talk about lighting strategy, how it influences assets value, again, in hospitality or at home, uh, it is not necessarily something that is related to money. Quality of life, family, good family time, entertainment, all of those things have nothing to do with money, but have a certain value in the hierarchy of preference. And when we talk to the client about design, about layers, about a lighting effect, and so forth, it is important that we enhance and we let them know all the benefits that this new lighting system or this design or this extraordinary amount of fee they're going to pay us to enhance their lighting. And I say that because for 4 decades, I I mean, I raised, I lowered, I changed, I I gave bundle price. Pricing is always an issue. No matter who you talk to, no matter when you talk to, it's always the same thing. It always seems like, oh my God, I never thought that would be that expensive. And then you start talking to them, and then they realize, well, okay, this guy, all this $5 million I'm putting into this home, this is probably the only guy that's going to make it look good. So I'll try to negotiate, or I'll try to do this, and I'll get another one that is cheaper. Now that I know that I need one, maybe I can get one that is less good or less experiment, or maybe I can get a junior that can. You get what you pay for. And at at this time in my career as a fractional lighting designer, uh, I don't care. I don't care. It's not about the money. It's not about the time or the title or the glory. What I care about is the project. How can I outdo myself? How can I learn something? How can I make something more fun? How can I explore new technology? How can I be more efficient in my communication and my happening? How can I learn to work with a new manufacturer and so forth? So that's what I am. But other people have other needs, and I can tell you that when I had partners and we had employees, um, the amount of what I care about was not important. It was how much money can we bring in the firm, because I had overhead. I had to pay for designers. I had to pay for drafting people. I had to pay for license. I had to pay for rent. I had to pay. I mean, the need were astronomical. So somebody had to pay, and it was the client. Now I don't have all these needs, and when I do a project, I want it to be a challenge, and that's where I decided also that the projects were not no longer important, because I can spend 40 hours with one client a week on one project, or I can work as a fractional senior lighting designer with a firm and work with 10 lighting designers and help them to improve 10 projects at the time, and I have the same amount of feelings and gratification or more, because I can challenge them and I got answers, and then I got, and working with 10 brings me 10 times the amount of data that I can learn from. So that's my viewpoint, and that's why I shifted my career and my practice towards fractional. So let's look at that again. So we have our lighting strategy before we talk fixture, right? So we talk about lighting effect. We want general, diffuse. We want directionals. We want narrow beam there, wide there, etc., etc. Then we start talking a bit about the fixtures, right? But not the brand. Well, we want to have some wall sconce. We want to have some pendant. We want to have some in-ground recess. We want to have a track maybe there, because we need the flexibility. Then we want to talk to, okay, what manufacturer are we going to look at? So again, now we start bringing the manufacturer in and say, hey, we need this, we need this, we need this. What can you provide us? Okay. Then we talk another manufacturer. Then we bring two manufacturers, three manufacturers, whatever the amount, so that all our layers and all our lighting program is taken care of. And all along, as a designer, it is our duty to start and keep track of the money. Um, Too many times, I talk to manufacturer and I say, how much is that? Well, we don't have a price yet. I'll send you a price. Okay. And then they send me a price, and then I'm like, wow, okay. So instead of 10, I'll put 5. And then they're like, what do you mean? Well, I mean that, in my head, I didn't expect it to be that price. I had a budget in my head, and this is the effect I want to create. And instead of 10, we'll put 5, because that's what, well, let's see if I can do better. Okay, good. You look at that, and I'll look and I'll keep continue. So the idea is that by having your focus also on pricing, um, you'll build a reputation and also a track record of somebody that can deliver what they talk about. And this is the hardest part in this industry, because too many times we talk to people, and we talk to a sales guy, we talk to a agent rep, we talk to a manufacturer, we talk to an electrician, we talk to the architect, we talk, and there's so much discrepancy that we lost track. Who's in charge? Why did it went from 100,000 to 500,000? What happened? I mean, I can justify if there was a legitimate increase. I can sit down with the client and said, well, listen, I told you I would put 5 of those, and this is the budget. You said to me you want 25. So here's the budget adjusted. And you said you want this from this manufacturer, and this is that price. And this and this and this. And then I go down the whole list. And then they said, you know what, Rob, you're right. Absolutely. Okay. Sign the change order. Done. No more conversation about that. And hopefully in 6 months, they don't come in and they said, oh yeah, by the way, your 500,000 is now $1 million. Because now I'm going to ask question first. Why? Okay, there's some legitimate price increase every new year, every whatever, right? Some quotes are good for 30 days. Perfect. As I'm working very closely with my manufacturers and I register the job and I register the amount of lights and I register the budget for it, they protect me. They work with me and they said, Bob, as long as you come with us, we're gonna honor this. Good. So why did it went from this to double? Then I realized the contractor, the electrical contractor, under price is main entry, electrical entrance. It was underground, and then suddenly he bid for a 400 amps, and it's a 600 amps. And he's like, well, we're gonna take that difference and we're gonna send it to the lighting. No, this is not gonna happen on my watch. So again, I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but whenever I'm on a project and I talk to everybody and I know that what our mission is, well, it's going to happen like I said. And if you're an electrician and you bid wrongly, well, it's not my fault. You take your own problem with the client and you deal with it. And if your paperwork is not in order, well, tough luck. It sucks to be you. But my job is to make sure the integrity of my concept and the design and all my work, because now it's not only that I decide a couple lighting effect, now we have a whole program and everybody is in agreement to that program. My job is to make sure that I deliver that. At the end, when we turn the switch on or press the button or whatever, it has to be what I said. And that's part of my job. So I hope this helped you a little bit, and I hope that you understand that there is way much more details about everything I just said. But again, I'm going 10,000 feet, and we're gonna go down, 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 and at some point, when I'm organized, we'll be able to take some message. We'll take some question. You'll be able to participate. Now, my main concern is to set up myself, make sure that I don't have a construction site. You're not too disturbed by it, and as a fractional lighting designer, I can bring more to you, more value to your service, so that if you need any help or you need additional talent to sell a project or to deliver, you'll give me a call. So thank you very much. Tomorrow is Friday. It's going to be the 10th episode. That's going to be awesome. And we're going to talk about the market, the lighting market in general. I have amazing things that I had discovery. And just before we leave, and I wrote that at the end because when I was doing the show, I had a cognition. I realized that lighting is the only thing in the building that you cannot touch. And that was quite an awakening for me, because we're not the cheapest, we're not the quietest, because when you work with a lighting designer, um, you'll have his program, he'll be there, he'll do, his presence is known, because they do mock up, they do tests, they go around, they put tape and they change things and they send memo. So we're not the quietest. And then, but when you talk to the plumber, you have a pipe, this is the problem, we got to move it there and this and that, and it's very physical. We're dealing with metaphysical, meaning that how do we translate our work into an emotion? How do we translate our work into making a space look better? And that's why it's very, very hard for people, because they cannot touch that. They can see that if they have a $10,000 fridge, if they don't run that little water line right on the rough, it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. But they don't understand that having the lights at the wrong place will give them a discomfort feeling. So again, the only thing in the material, the only thing in the building material you cannot touch, is the lighting. So on that, have a good day. Thank you for being there. Hopefully this show went A1. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting more confident. I'm getting faster and more to the point. Thank you very much for listening to me, and talk to you.